And it just seems like God has taken all of our experience, all the things that we've walked through, all the ways that we've grown, all the skills that we've acquired throughout our years, and put it in one package and said, here you go. This is my gift to you, and this is the gift you now get to be to the world around you.
For as long as I can remember, I have been around church and faith and a belief that God has created me for an important purpose. I can remember as a young child playing hide and go seek in my dad's church and collecting communion cups and hiding under pews, and that was just our life. And I'm so very grateful that that is the upbringing that I had. It instilled some really important values that I've built my life upon.
My upbringing is a little bit different. I was born and raised in California. My parents got a divorce when I was 8 years old, and that pretty much began to just unravel my childhood and unravel my life. I saw schooling as my way of kind of breaking the cycle that I had been born into of poverty, of breaking relationships.
I can remember, even as a young child, being very moved and driven to see individuals that maybe others would overlook, seeing that God created them for a purpose, that God had a reason for all of us. And I can remember moving in really a deep empathy for individuals at my school, and really felt moved that I could do something to make a difference in their life.
When I was a freshman in high school, it was kind of where I got my big break. One of my electives ended up being digital communication. And it sounded fancy, it sounded cool, but I had no idea how much I would learn and gain, and how much of that would stick with me through the rest of my life.
After I graduated from high school, without blinking an eye, I went straight into college. Went to a Christian college, Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There I studied a communications degree, but minored in youth ministry.
When I was 17 years old, a friend of mine's dad invited my friend and I to this church youth group event. Wasn't too familiar with church, wasn't too familiar with God. And so I came into this event kind of apprehensive and didn't quite know what to expect. Well, the pastor gets up, he starts preaching, and I could tell this guy was really passionate. He kind of was like raising his voice. He kind of had like veins coming out of his head. He had these like bulging eyes. And so I made kind of a gutsy decision in that moment at 17 years old. I said, you know what, let me listen. Let me see maybe what this person is trying to communicate. So I started listening, and let me tell you something, I was hooked. Everything he was talking about was hitting me in the heart. And by the time that service was over, I was down in the front at the altar, confessing my sin and accepting Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. The moment that happened to me at that church service, I feel like God spoke a purpose that was far greater than maybe what I had ever imagined. I felt the call to become a pastor, a leader within the church, to give other people the same opportunity I was given on that day, to understand how loved I am and how valued I am. And I ended up going to Bible school to train to be a pastor.
As we began our life together and also our ministry journey, over the course of many years, got to experience lots of different variations of ministry. It was just an amazing ride. We looked and like, God, look what you've done. Look how you've used us. And we got to meet so many amazing people and also grow our skills and grow our experience at the same time.
But in 2021, we made the decision to step away from full-time vocational ministry. We didn't really know what was ahead of us, but we knew that God was telling us to step away from this thing that we had known over 20 years into an unknown future in which He promised to show the way and that He promised to protect us and guide us through it.
I do remember how scary that felt, how I I think, a little lost. We felt that was not an easy decision. And you begin to realize how much of your identity and value that we had wrapped up in to be used by God, it had to be in this setting with this title. So I think during that time, we were spinning a little bit, but I think we were, in a good way, undoing some old mindsets. So we find ourselves in 2021, loaded up a U-Haul, and we actually ended up coming out to Argyle, Texas.
Part of this transition, I had to figure out what I was going to do for a living. Again, I had multimedia skills that I had continued to operate in all throughout my ministry journey, whether it was editing videos, doing graphic design, special promotions, things like that. So I had that in my back pocket, but I didn't quite see the connection I could have with it to a career. I just always thought it was just nice to have. It really wasn't something that I could build a whole career upon. So I was in this really confusing place that ultimately took me to a really dark place, filled with depression, anxiety. I didn't know how to rebound. I didn't know how to make everything right. The pressure got to me, and I started believing a lot of things that were not true about me. Like I didn't have any value. I wasn't worth anything. That I'm the reason why my family can't have a good life. And as those thoughts just took me over, I found myself in a position where I needed some real help. I had found myself in a dark hole, in a dark place that I could not get out myself.
What was so interesting during this time that was very evident to us is we had spent
20 years.
20 years, if not more, pouring our lives into building churches and communities and loving on people and visiting people in the hospital, funerals, tragic moments. And we had the privilege of standing with people. And here we found ourselves in probably one of the darkest moments we had.
We were in desperate need of people.
And here we saw this beautiful church community come around us. And it was a full circle moment that we were now receiving.
Yeah.
The love and the benefit and the support, both emotionally, spiritually, and practically, that we needed to help us be carried through this season.
I mean, it was so much so that it rebuilt my confidence, and it allowed me to start dreaming again and talking to God again and saying, okay, God, there must be a reason why, number one, you pulled us away from what we were doing in Virginia. And there must have been a reason why my family and I had to walk through this very dark season. And through the community and through the coaching, we begin to start seeing how all the pieces were actually coming together. If I took our passion to encourage and uplift people and to support people and to encourage people, build people up, and blended that with my hard skills in multimedia, with graphic design, with storytelling, messaging, holy cow, maybe we can make a difference in a brand new way. And that was really how Message Masters was born out of the idea, how can we be an encouragement to others? How can we help other people not feel alone in their leadership journey? We don't just create content, we don't just develop brands. What we really want to be about is truly understanding the vision and the dream and the aspirations of these business leaders, organizational leaders that we get the opportunity to be around. We want to just come alongside you and help clarify that vision, clarify that dream, and put it in a way that other people can rally beside you, support you, and run with that thing. Our ministry might look a little bit different now, but we're totally okay with that. Somehow God took all the chaos and he
turn it into something truly beautiful and something that we get to be a part of every single day.